Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April meeting for the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission. I will call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. As usual, in lieu of a roll call vote, I'll ask each member to introduce themselves, starting to my far right.
Phil Davis.
Jenny Wenzel.
Matthew Kochiva, President.
David Copenhaver, Vice President.
Andrew Noon, Secretary.
Rob Chalice, Beech Grove City Schools.
Okay, first item on the agenda, as usual, is an update on our comprehensive economic development and redevelopment plan project. David, as our liaison, I'll turn it over to you for an update.
Just start by saying I really regretted having to give this report. Microphone here. I really regretted having to give this report. I have some serious concerns about the direction we're headed and how we're getting there at this point. But I think what I'll try and do is just start with a written report that I have, and then I can follow up with any questions that you might have, commissioners. The comprehensive plan is moving towards its final stage of development. The 4 stages of the plan include the discovery, vision, framework, and financial. As the project manager liaison for this project, I have several concerns about important aspects of the plan that have been overlooked by REA during the first phase, which is discovery. I will also say that discovery should happen through the entire process. These important aspects of the discovery phase would have required REA to meet with the stakeholders and landholders of these projects to thoroughly understand the risks, opportunities, and threats of each project. If these risks would have been completed, the next phases of the comprehensive plan would have had actual detailed information about the intentions, timelines, and investments of the stakeholders and landowners, not more of a wish list of aspects of the project that have not been verified. After the last steering committee meeting and presentation of the RDC in February, REA requested that the RDC provide some specific feedback to ensure that we're all staying on track with the intentions of the plan. The RDC then scheduled a special workshop meeting to discuss the current situation of the plan. And at this meeting, the RDC discussed about 12 ideas and concerns of the comprehensive plan. I'll note that most of the ideas and concerns that you had were not things that were in the existing plan, they were things that were actually out of the plan. I documented these items, and I met with the REA during our next project management meeting and presented those ideas to them. During a meeting last week with REA, Matthew Kochiva and I asked a series of questions to determine if the REA has met with key stakeholders of the projects and identified that were identified in the comprehensive plan, to understand their plans and intentions of several properties and projects that the comprehensive plan is focused on. This would then help discover the risk, opportunities, and threats of each project. So these are the questions we asked at the meeting, and these are the answers we received. And I'll read them to you in the order that they were asked. Note that each of these questions were topics that were discussed at the special RDC workshop amongst all of us as things that we were concerned about that I had then documented and brought to them. And here's the feedback that I've gotten on those topics. The first question that I asked was, Matthew and I together asked, have you met with anyone from Denny Excavating to understand their interest in purchasing the city landfill, fixing all the environmental issues, and moving their current operation to the landfill? The answer they gave is no. Have you met with anyone from Morehouse Auto Body to understand their intentions with the city landfill property that is half owned by Morehouse Auto Body? Answer, no, they have not. Have you met with any of the owners of the Medical Arts Building on 17th Street to understand their intentions or timelines for a commercial, residential, mixed-use facility? Answer, no. Have you accomplished any of the studies or development of the northwest corner of Thompson and Emerson for future development? Answer, no. Have you done any research regarding the development of Beech Grove primary and secondary gateways into Beech Grove? Answer, we'll develop a presentation to show the RDC what other cities are doing, and we're considering developing a plan for 4 of the primary gateways of Beech Grove. Question 5, have you met with anyone from CSX Railroad to understand their development or investments in Beech Grove? Answer, no, but someone came to a steering committee but never spoke. Question 6, have you met with anyone from the new plumbing school, MSI, to determine their intentions and timeline? Answer, no. Have you done any research to potentially develop the blighted Bethel TIF area? Answer, no. Have you met with the director or the board of directors from Beech Grove Parks to understand their plans for development in the parks throughout Beech Grove? Answer, no. Have you met with any of the 6 major corporations in the TIF zone industrial area of Beech Grove that were identified by the RDC to understand their potential developments? Answer, no. Jim Coughlin said he was contacting them and meeting with them. Question 10, have you met with the Indianapolis Metropolitan Development to understand the plan for planning, timing, or investments of Beech Grove thoroughfares of transportation, that is Emerson Avenue, Albany Street, Churchman Street, Sherman Drive, Thompson Avenue? Answer, no. Have you researched the timing and plans for investment of the future roundabouts for the city of Beech Grove? Answer, no, but we'll work on that. Question 12, have you met with the Indianapolis Fire Department to understand their plans and discuss the potential needs in Beech Grove to get their feedback? Answer, no. Have you developed any plans to overcome the parking issues related to development on Main Street? Answer, no. Have you met with anyone from Franciscan to determine if they would be willing to sell any of the properties or buildings or parking areas of the old St. Francis campus? Answer, no. Have you met with anyone from Bailey Parks to determine if they would be interested in continuing development into a vacant 1-acre lot on 16th Street? Answer, no. Have you developed any of the elements of a financial plan to determine the long-term sustainability of the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission? Answer, no, but we had some communications with Jeff Peters. Question, have you met with anyone from the monastery to understand their $40 million development in Beech Grove? Answer, no. Have you met with anyone from the city of Indianapolis to understand specifically how Indianapolis Unigov may affect the future economic development or redevelopment of the city of Beech Grove? Answer, no. Have you reviewed the RDC application process to provide feedback on ways to improve the RDC financial investment process? Answer, that is not in our scope of work. So I'll just say in closing, as the project liaison, I feel terrible that I'm having to deliver this information to all of you today. It's not at all where I hoped we would be at this point. As the project liaison between the REA and the RDC, I have some serious concerns that the critical information that should have come from direct communications with key developers and landowners in Beech Grove has not occurred in the 3 previous phases of this project. And now, as we're heading into the final phase of the project, many of these facts of these projects have not been researched or documented, and therefore financial projections that may come from it may not be developed on facts. Instead, it may be developed on wishes and hopes. That concludes my report to you, and I'm sorry to have to do that.
Questions?
Do we have any repercussions? I mean, what are they doing?
Well, they're doing steering committees, that they're presenting us with presentations. So far, as you all recall, what we've seen is, I'm going to say mock-ups for the term I'm going to use. Mock-ups of areas of the city where we've identified redevelopment or where there could be potential redevelopment of what it potentially could be done. Over on, I gotta remember my directions, West Albany, CSX, and I include West Albany as being the old hospital, and then over the Safeway. The industrial area that makes it Elmwood, Adelaide, over to the that area that's over there, that parallels 465. So we've seen that. I think they're looking at other data, but that hasn't been presented to us, or they're waiting to when they start also doing the, we'll obviously have a written plan, that we will see that later, for which I will be reading extensively as a draft and intend on redlining to match with our stuff. So that's
other
what
than
I'm
drawing pictures
aware.
and pulling stuff anybody could pull off of Google, what have they done for us?
Well, hold on. Yes, Mayor.
Because, granted, I missed last month's meeting, but hearing this, why have you not reached out to any of these people that affect us to find out what their vision is, where they're going with this is?
Yeah, Mayor, if you want to go up to the
There was one more
podium.
that they said, other than that, if you can expound on what they
Thank
said
you.
their scope was,
Mhm.
because you were at that meeting. And then,
Well-
I mean, they specifically said that was never part of the scope, was reaching out to individual business
Okay,
owners.
thank you.
They said that is the city administration, RDC members, that's their job to do it. So they said it's not part of a comprehensive plan. They do not reach out to individual business owners. That falls on the city. I know David's met with several of those people personally, and that is what they said. That is not part of the scope and never has
Okay.
been. If they want to change that, and you want to change the scope, then that's the RDC's, but wasn't that what they said, Matthew?
Well, yes, I do recall with some of them that did say specifically that it was out of scope. So that is what they are saying.
So I think a few of those, David, you met with personally, correct?
Yeah, it just, yeah, yes, I did.
Yeah.
Um,
So, and that's what they're saying, it's more, and I've met with a few of them, and I relayed those messages. I just met with ADM the other day.
But,
So we're
but
working
Jim,
on-
the point of it is if we're not putting all of this information into the plan, how can the plan be comprehensive? You know, we did a discovery phase where we met lots of people from the public. We met lots of people from, small businesses on Main Street and schools and things. But when they asked for specific feedback about what are we missing, and the RDC gave them that specific feedback, we expect those things to be put into the plan because they asked for the feedback, and that's what was missing. And let me just give you an example, Jim, just to make it clear. Let's just take the Regional Medical Arts Building. How many residential units are going to be in that building?
They don't know yet.
How much commercial space will be in that building?
We don't know yet. And I relayed that message, and that was part of the message that they don't know yet. So we know it's going to be a mixed-use development. I think they haven't decided if they're going to add on in the middle. There's two options: keep what's there, or the second option is to enclose the center part. So we don't know yet, other than knowing that that's what the plan is to make it into mixed use with market rate apartments. We don't know the next step, and that's something that we have to wait on that developer to decide.
And why can't we put that in the plan?
Well, I mean, I guess that's on REAs. I'm not sure if they're going to put the ideas of what could be. I think the plan. I mean, I've never seen a plan where they list what the current site uses are and what their plans are for the future. I don't know if it gets to that detail, but I think REA said that wasn't part of the original scope. But if I'm assuming you can always change the scope, is my guess. I don't know how the contract works, but my guess is if you want REA to say, hey, we want you to do this or this and this, and they can say, well, no, that's not part of the scope and we can't add to it, I don't know. But I guess my guess is there'd be another charge for it. I don't know how that works with how the contract was originally written.
All of these different questions are not based on one commercial company and their plan. There's a variety of different issues here.
Yeah, I know. Specifically that one, though.
Yeah.
Like, specifically the medical arts building. If you know what their plans are, I don't think they know that yet. The monastery, I think we've seen plans for that. I'm not sure what other information they would need to add to the plan other than it's a monastery and they're planning on staying forever. So, and they're building a 50,000 square foot home. So I'm not sure what other information would be involved in the plan other than that.
That might be nice to start with. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I can't speak for REA. I just know that was something they kept saying, is that wasn't part of the plan and never was part of the scope for all of those things. The few of them, the financials, I think, are going to present next month, I believe, right? Wasn't that the plan to do the financials next month?
I think they're getting close to that.
Yeah. The sideway, the gateways into the city, working with the logo, that wasn't part of the plan, but identifying the main thoroughfares and getting an idea of what we could do for there. I think they're going to work on that, they said, I believe, as well. So.
Well, anyway, commissioners, that's my report. You can read into that whatever you think, but I'll answer any questions that you have.
More questions for?
Do we need to look at the contract again? I know you and I have had discussions about this, but, they haven't told us at these meetings, or like me personally, when I've suggested something, they haven't said that's out of our scope. I haven't heard that once. I've always heard, we'll look into it, we'll consider it. That doesn't mean it's not out of the scope, but they haven't specifically said it. Can we look at let me rephrase that, not can we should probably relook at the contract, because I know when we signed it, there was a thing at the end that said if we wanted to add X, it would cost more money. Well, what is X? We probably need to look at it and say, okay, are these things out of the scope? I mean, what are we not asking? Are we asking for things that they're not going to do? Because we don't want to do that. But if we're asking for things that aren't in the contract, we really probably need to look at it again and see if we really are out of line asking these things. I don't know.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Maybe you can help me with that, Matthew.
Because it almost sounds like we're getting one thing one time and another thing another time.
Okay. Might as well ask. I mean, yeah, but we are vastly getting towards the end. I mean, this has to end this year.
I guess my main message is that I believed in the discovery phase that these things would have been naturally occurring, asking questions of small business, big business, government, parks, transportation, all of these kinds of things would have been included, and those it wouldn't have just been meetings down on Main Street at the park. At the fall festival, or at a place, or public meetings. But there would have been specific meetings with those people to get feedback to put into the plan. And I believe that is a critical part of the discovery phase that's not occurred. That's my report.
I'm going to say this. One thing I did learn at this meeting that we had is that there is going to be an open house again. They're going to do one final one as we get more towards the development of the plan. I don't care what it takes. I don't care if it costs extra money. It's going to be all hands on deck. I want, especially for the businesses, if we get down the line and we're still where we're at, and we any one member or all of us are not. We arrive at the conclusion we're not satisfied that we reached out to a lot of the business owners that are in these potential or in these redevelopment areas that we're looking at, then we better be knocking on their door or sending them an email saying that, at the very least, this is an open house, please be there, and whatever feedback you want to give, this is going to be your last opportunity, however it's going to go down there. But there is going to be another one open, and I don't want to get down to the end of it where we're presenting essentially the final plan, and no one in the audience likes it. They just fix it. I'm just going to admit this. I know you guys on everything, but I'm starting to feel that I have been more out of the loop than I should as president. So what I plan on doing, will probably be after the Easter holidays, so early next week, is that at least for communications, again, we named you liaison because you had the time for the very most part. Some of us just don't. For me, I'm downtown most of the days. But I am going to make sure that at least REA knows that any communication that's sent to anyone in regards to this plan that's at the very least of the city, I'm going to be asked to be specifically CC'd on it in case I'm missing anything. I haven't seen any emails since the last one where after we had the meeting and everything, where another that was a update meeting was canceled and everything. I haven't seen any other stuff, and I haven't seen really any other email through the planning email that we set up. So if I'm missing anything, I'm going to reinsert myself in. So while this is a city effort, we're paying the bill, and frankly, speaking for myself, my voice is going to be heard first on this as a member of the RDC. So if I'm missing anything, that's on me, but I'm going to rectify that situation because we're not gonna have this project go out until they've exhausted their do not exceed amount or we get into the fall. I want this done this summer because we need to get to the next part of redevelopment because things are getting a lot worse out there with certain changes in law that have been made and that I'm foreseeing. I mean, imagine you're already having conversations on the school board.
SB1?
Yeah, SB1. So we need to be done with planning, and we need to get into execution and everything. So with that, I will say I'm going to try and at least have more, I'm going to try and have a better handle on that. And that is on me. I'm not saying anything to REA or to anyone in city administration or to David or any one of you. But as president, I want to make sure that at least I'm not missing anything because I'm a little bit disjointed on this and everything, and I want this to be successful. But most importantly, but the second thing is that I want this thing to be done. So with that, I will say that. If there's not any other questions of David or myself.
I have a question. Mayor, are you happy with the dialogue you're getting out of REA at this point?
Yeah. I'm not.
And again, I apologize. I was not here last month, so
I'm not
a little
nearly
bit
involved
late.
as David is. So we've had multiple discussions. We've had a biweekly update with REA, and it seems like everybody's happy, and I'm not quite sure what's happened recently. It seems like people weren't happy recently. I'm not sure what's changed, truthfully. But at the end of the day, I think REA's been happy with it. I think they felt like we're on a good track until very recently. And that would say, the last month and a half, probably 2 months ago when we first, I think you guys first decided that you wanted to have that workshop, and was that 2 months ago?
back in
That was-
February. Yes.
Well, they kind
Yeah,
of,
they-
they really asked us to do that.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
request from them for us to stop, pause, meet, collaborate, and give them that feedback. And
Okay, I thought it was delayed because of decisions by the RDC.
no, it was, that was
Well, they took that-
that was a formal request from them to
Oh.
us, and we,
I think because they felt you all weren't happy, right?
no, I think, in fact, the exact opposite. I think everybody has been happy.
Yeah.
But I think what they wanted to do is say, hey, we want to make sure before we go into the next final phases that we haven't left anything out, or that we don't need to make any mid-course corrections. So we don't want to go into the financial plan with things that we've left out of the plan that you guys wanted to see in at this point. And that was their specific request to us.
Do you feel that your concerns and your wants with your communication with the REA is being fulfilled?
I think so. Like I said, I think it's a great. I think we're making great headway. I think it's a great plan. So, and that's what I told REA, and they're excited about it. I'm excited about the finished product. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a great product. It's going to give us a lot of ideas. When I meet with developers and I've met with these businesses, they're all very excited about it. When I met with Alvarez Steel, they were excited that we're having a comprehensive plan. I was with ADM on Tuesday. They're excited about it because they're here to stay. They are invested in our community and they are here to stay. So when I tell them that the RDC and the city we're working this plan to have a comprehensive plan for the future of the city, they love it. They're excited to hear that. And that's one of the first things that developers have asked me in the last year and a half when I've met with them. I've met with probably half a dozen or 8 developers in the last year and a half who hopefully want to become good partners in the city of Beech Grove. So yeah, from my viewpoint, I think it's going to be great. But and that's just what was presented on REA's site. So when we get this actual document, it's going to be huge. We've only seen a fraction of, I think, what work's already been done or what they're doing behind the scenes. I think the cities and the RDC's made a good effort about getting contact information, reaching out to businesses. Unfortunately, some people just don't respond to requests, and that's the sad part. I wish they did, but some don't. They just don't respond, whether you email them or send them an email, send them an actual mail, letter in the mail. Some people just don't respond to those things. Why? I don't know. We can't speak for them, but some people do. And some people are on and they're excited about it and they want to contribute and provide information. And we've seen that with lots of businesses at those focus groups that we had. And the steering committee, you all built a great steering committee. Have all the ones who signed up for it been vocal and active or even attending those meetings? Unfortunately not.
I think there were 4 at the last meeting, not counting
I know.
governmental people.
I know, and that's the
4.
sad part. I mean, you all worked very hard about getting those people to get on those focus groups, right? For that steering committee, I mean, and there's been a few of them that haven't even shown up, and that's the sad part. You just can't force people, and that's what stinks all along is that you just can't force people to volunteer, unfortunately. Some people, I think they saw the benefit and wanted to contribute their voice and their ideas and their opinions, and some people didn't make the time for it, and I think that's the part that stinks. But unfortunately, you get used to that. Some people want to volunteer, and some people just don't have the time, but they also aren't ready to say no. Unfortunately, I wish some of those people would have said no because they haven't shown up. I think there's a few people who haven't shown up to any of the steering committees, right? But why? I don't know. I mean, they know they're coming. So, but given that, I think the people who have provided, I think it's great. I'm excited for it. There's been a lot of great ideas. I think REA has really gone above adding all these new areas because we've added a few areas recently. Just recently, we added the property on Emerson Avenue, just south of Lifegate. There's those 7 acres or so that's been for sale for 2 or 3 years. Used to be the old Hutchinsons used to live there. I think you might have with the BG on the garage. That got listed for sale. It sold a couple years ago for $200,000, and then it got listed for $1 million. Right now, that's pending. So 7 acres of property right there is pending. $650,000 it's pending as of a couple weeks ago. So what's going to happen there? I don't know. I'm trying to wait and see who's buying it. Because once they buy it, that's the first person I'm going to call and see, what do you want to do with that property? You're buying 7 acres for $600,000. You must have a plan for some type of development.
Is that the same deal you told us at the last meeting? I think it was, that it was
Yeah.
pending back then, a month
Correct.
ago. So
And I
same,
just checked it
same
last
people?
week. I haven't checked it this week to see if it's still pending or if it fell through. But that one, they listed at like 1.1 million and just slowly dropping and dropping and dropping.
700. I think last time I saw it, it was
think it's
right around 700,000.
Yeah.
Is that Zone C1 or what is that there?
I'm not sure. It's a residential, I believe. It's just residential. I
That's
believe.
a lot of land.
It is a lot of land, which is crazy. Somebody bought it just 4 years ago for $200,000.
Yeah.
A house, a ranch with a whole bunch of land. and somebody saw the potential and said, hey, I'm gonna try, and I think 1.1 was a little crazy, but 600 is a little crazy, but if it goes through, but stuff like that. So they came in, they did a rendering for the plan. They said, here's an idea for that, and it's great. I think we've added a few other properties since then that you all have asked them to add as a potential idea or drawing or rendering. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think you all need to be happy with it as well. And I agree with David and Matthew. You have to be happy with it, but also we can't expect them to do things that aren't in the scope of the project. So if it's something that you all want to, approach them and say, can you do this? You may come back and say, no, we don't do that. They might, I don't know. But I'm sure there'd be a way. But if there's places, like I said, I'll continue to reach out to people, and I can let you know what they say when I reach out to these and I talk to these business owners. That's something I'm trying to focus on, is to talk to all these businesses, big and small, in the city of Beech Grove, just to talk to them, introduce myself, see what the city can do for them, see what they can do for the city, and see how we can work together to become good community partners. And that's what I've been trying to do. Our CEO, I met with them a couple months ago. They're great. They love the city of Beech Grove. They're here to stay. They've invested millions of dollars in that property. They don't have plans to expand, but they don't have plans to downsize or move either. So there's not much to report there, but I think it's a huge entity and part of the city of Beech Grove. 80 and Milling, like I said, just met with them a couple days ago. Again, same thing. They don't have any plans to move, any plans to invest. They just recently invested millions of dollars in their property, but they love it here. And they said it's great access to the railroad, great access to this region. So they're here to stay. They don't anticipate any changes or improvements to their property other than just maintaining. So I'm not sure how that would be incorporated into the plan, but I'm sure if RA can find a way to put it in there, they can. But outside of that, it just depends on what other information you're looking for.
Jim, the issue really is more related to developments that are happening right now in Beech Grove. And another example I just will pull off is MSI. MSI Plumbing School has said that they want to build their building back where the old MSA, whatever it's called.
Meadows Mechanical?
The plumbing school.
Meadows Mechanical. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
So they want to build it where the original Safeway building was at. The drawings and the things that REA has done has said, well, no, maybe it ought to be a two-story building. Maybe it ought to be up closer to the corner. Maybe it ought to be another commercial building on the other side. Those are all fantastic visions and fantasies and ideas, and but if you haven't met with the owner to say, hey, would you be willing to build a two-story building instead of a one-story, or would you be willing to move it to a different location? Would you really be willing to sell half of your property to a commercial? But if none of that's occurred and it's now in the financial plan, how is it valid?
Well, I think they said that that's not the job of REA to do that. That would be more of the city officials or RDC members going to them to say, hey, would you be interested if we helped you or guided you? Because that was mentioned at the last steering committee. I believe Andrew Wolf mentioned that to us at the steering committee. He said, hey, have you thought about going to them and saying, hey, build a two-story building and the RDC could pay for their elevator because it's a couple $100,000. Or the RDC could pay for them to move the stormwater and the drainage. And that was mentioned at the last steering committee. So, and REA said that's not something they do, that'd be more of a city side. So if RDC members wanted to meet with them, I'd be happy to schedule that and I can join you in on that meeting. But that would be an RDC decision. The city can't fund that. The RDC could. But you're also not in a TIF zone either.
But Jim, the point I'm trying to make that I see you seem to be missing is that they're already doing renderings and financial plans based on the two-story building up front with the two lots. All of that is going forward in the plan.
Yeah.
They've never met with the owners to say, is that something
Correct.
you'd ever
Yeah.
consider?
And I understand that, but their response was that's something that they don't do. That's the city. So I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying. So they're saying that that is not part of their job as the planning committee or the company. That's more of a city and RDC job. They're just they're providing the idea. And the city has to go and implement those ideas. Like once the plan actually is done, if the city just lets it sit on a shelf and collect dust, then the city's worthless, or the plan is worthless. But the city and the RDC actually uses that and uses it to lure people in and say, look what we have, look what you could be a part of. Then that's when it becomes a successful document.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we have some action items to work on. One myself. It's that's let's figure out, which is, I mean, the only thing I can figure out is we'll figure out a way of, let's look at the contract, or let's say develop the questions and pinpoint, it's like, this is in the contract, this is out of scope, how much is this gonna cost to put into scope? Essentially, just ask that. I mean, I think that's as much as an email and everything. But I'm thinking, again, things are moving along and everything. If we need to have the conversation, we'll have the conversations and everything. Despite what anyone or what we may think REA is going to do, I much rather prefer that if we can just have this conversation and just end it right there. We'll just use the plumbing school, for instance, because that's different than most things. Because they are moving forward. They are building a plumbing school. If they're going to say, our plans are this way, and that is it, we're not going to subdivide this land, we don't plan on selling it, okay, well, that's great. We figure out the information, tell REA, don't worry about that parcel anymore, because they're not going to do anything, and we're not going to be of assistance to everything. So let's figure that out. Let's meet. If someone's got do I have an email? If we have an email, I'll send an email or whatever.
You're on the team email.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the plumbing school,
Oh.
the folks there. I don't know if I have an email for them or anything, but just ask.
Yeah, the RDC wants to have that conversation, I'd be happy to.
let's facilitate it. I'd like to know. I just rather let's just go get the information. It's flat out saying that we have the stuff on the website to show them. It's like, here are some plans we think for this particular site. This will require you to sell part of your land to a private entity. Is that something you be? And just ask them flat out. Is that something you be? I just want to know if they're interested in it. If they say no, okay, that's great. We call REA. We tell Cynthia.
Yeah.
Forget about all the renderings. Throw those out. We don't need those anymore. They're not going to do anything, and we'll talk to them in 5 years when we come back to this. Is what I'm thinking. So we'll just do that. But yeah, I just want to move along. Want to get to that. And again, I am looking forward to seeing when we actually have some written drafts. But anyway, okay. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. You said you had that written down. Obviously, if you have a copy, if you want to give it to Andrew,
Could
we
I
can make that
attach it
part of
as
the
a-
minutes. Right.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Okay. Aaron, I'm going to have you call up because our next
Great.
thing is
Thank
the Beech Grove North 17th Avenue allocation area. So this is the next step in our conversation. I have two resolutions, which I'll read in full. That's what I've normally done if I remember the last time we changed our redevelopment area and everything. But I want to turn it over to Aaron first to give us a presentation on what are the next steps that we're doing. What are these two resolutions essentially going to do? And I'll just ask that question outright, so you, in case you probably already have that information, is that if we adopt both of these two tonight, tell us what the next steps are to complete this entire and put this parcel into a allocation area.
Sure. So the redevelopment statute requires a resolution to either add something to a TIF zone or change a TIF zone. So that's, I believe, 2025-2 is the change of the TIF zone resolution. 2025-1 is the preparation of data surrounding that parcel so that you have all the information you need regarding that TIF district or proposed TIF district. I think I've said this before, but this is essentially a three-part process. What we do tonight is the first part. Then there needs to be a city council resolution adopted. I did speak with, or I emailed with Jim regarding the city-county schedule, and their docket is fairly busy in May and June. So I would expect this would be addressed at the July.
For sure not May, but
Okay.
hopefully soon.
So, I mean, it can be prepared and ready to go whenever they're ready to do it, at least, I would say not earlier than June. Once the city-county council adopts it, there's a confirmatory resolution that would be another RDC resolution. That resolution would involve a hearing, and so we would coordinate the hearing with this meeting.
Okay. When you say city county council, you mean the Beech Grove City Council?
Yes, sorry.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Yeah, that seems like something to be done. I mean, okay. I wasn't going to bring it up. I'm on vacation during the next council meeting anyway, so I won't be here. I will be on vacation, which my friends, I really have to take.
So for May?
No, glad we're not doing it in May because I won't be here in May.
Okay, well, May is not going to happen.
Yes, so June,
Yes.
next opportunity for June. So yeah, I'm just saying that.
Okay.
Well, we weren't going to do it in May anyway because I'm not going to be here. and everything. So, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. One reminder, just in case for our new friends here, is that essentially we have to complete this process by the end of this calendar year, so we can start capturing, to say revenue, assessed value, beginning next year or 2 years from now, whenever it takes effect. But we got to get it. We get it done
Technically,
now.
it needs
That's
to
when
be-
we'll start.
It needs to be completed by December 1st in order to capture the revenue going back to January 1st of
Okay.
this year.
All right. All right. So we, if we had to, we could space this out as long as it's done on December 1, filed with the appropriate
Yes.
bodies. We're good to go.
I meant to say the increment, any
The
change
increment,
in
yes.
AV
Okay.
captured.
Alrighty then. Okay then. With that, assuming that there's no questions for Aaron, we'll take these resolutions one at a time, and I will read them into the record, and then I'm going to make the motion to adopt these.
Can I ask Aaron something real quick?
Yes, please.
What you just said, what if they start working over there and we're dragging behind? When does the assessed value hit? What's that? We want it obviously at its lowest, right?
Right, so I mean, I think currently they purchased the current property record card, I think he has it at 700,000. So if they start doing work now, and let's say the value is higher by December 1st, as long as we complete this process by December 1st, that increment will be captured
Okay.
in your TIF money.
So the fact we've already started it.
Yes,
That's-
you
okay.
just need to, it just needs to be completed by December 1st, and then it could go back to January.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question.
All right. Resolution 2025-1, a resolution of the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission authorizing the, actually, you know what, I printed these, I'm gonna restart, for the read what was actually delivered to us. Okay. Resolution number 2025-1, a resolution of the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission authorizing the preparation of data described in Indiana Code 36-7-14-15B in order to explore the possibility of redeveloping an area within the city. Whereas the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission, as the governing body of the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Department, pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14-15, as amended, the Act adopted Resolution number 1-2005, designating an area known as the City of Beech Grove Integrated Redevelopment Area, the redevelopment area, as a redevelopment area pursuant to Sections 15, 16, and 17 of the Act, and designating all such redevelopment area as an allocation area pursuant to Section 39 of the Act. Whereas the Commission has subsequently duly amended the redevelopment area from time to time, whereas the Commission has been made aware of certain commercial development planned for that part of the City of Beech Grove, located at and around 110 North 17th Avenue, parcel number 49-10-20-151-027.000-102, the North 17th Avenue parcel. And whereas the Commission deems it advisable to explore the possibility of amending the redevelopment area by creating a new redevelopment allocation area in order to maximize the tax increment financing benefit that will flow to the citizens of the City of Beech Grove if North 17th Avenue parcel were to be included in a new redevelopment allocation area. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission as the governing body of the City of Beech Grove Department of Redevelopment as follows. 1. The Commission hereby finds that the North 17th Avenue parcel is in an area in the territory under its jurisdiction needing redevelopment. 2. The Commission further finds that conditions described in Indiana Code 36-7-1-3 cannot be corrected in the area by regulatory processes or the ordinary operations of private enterprise without resort to Indiana Code Chapter 36-1-14. 3. The Commission further finds the public health and welfare will be benefited by the redevelopment of North 17th Avenue parcel under Indiana Code Chapter 36-7-14 as a redevelopment project area. 4. The Commission further finds that the public health and welfare will be benefited by the amendment of the resolution or plan, or both, for an existing redevelopment project area, including amendment of the redevelopment area. 5. The commission further finds that proposed amendment to the plan or existing redevelopment project area is reasonable and appropriate when considered in relation to the original resolution or plan and the purposes of Indiana Code 36-7-14 and the resolution or plan with the proposed amendment conforms to the comprehensive plan for the city of Beech Grove. 6. Based on the findings set forth in paragraphs 1 through 5 herein, the data described in Indiana Code 36-7-14-15 shall be prepared in order to further the Commission's consideration of adding the North 17th Avenue parcel to the redevelopment area or other allocation areas that may be so duly established by the Commission. 7. The data to be prepared shall include, where applicable, the following. A. Maps and plats showing 1. The boundaries of the area in which property would be affected by the establishment of a redevelopment project area or the amendment of the resolution or plan for an existing area. 2. The location of the various parcels of property, streets, alleys, and other features affecting the remediation and redevelopment of the area, indicating any parcels of property to be excluded from the effects of the reestablishment of the redevelopment project area or the amendment of the resolution or plan for an existing area. And 3. The parts of the area, if any, that are to be devoted to public ways, levees, sewage, parks, playgrounds, and other public purposes under the redevelopment plan. B. List of the owners of the various parcels of property proposed to be affected by the establishment of an area or the amendment of the resolution or plan for an existing area. And C. An estimate of the cost, if any, to be incurred for the remediation and redevelopment of the property. 8. The provisions of this resolution shall be subject in all respects to the act as amended. 9. The resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption by the Commission. Adopted this the 17th day of April 2025. City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission, and there is lines for each of our signature. I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-1. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Andrew. Discussion. This seems pretty, yes.
I have one question. I know this is all legal. Can you explain number 2 by any chance?
Aaron, can you explain number 2, please?
Most of them are, you can figure out, that one's a little confusing.
These are just conditions in the statute, so I think, to the extent that, there's something, the creation of a TIF district, is something authorized by the redevelopment statute. To the extent you wanted to get additional revenue from this parcel, that's the way that you do it. There's not another, it's basically saying that there's not another way for you to.
Well, yeah, what would be, it says cannot be corrected in the area by regulatory processes.
Correct.
Is that just mumbo jumbo
It's-
or?
It's just part of the statute. It's just what's in the statute.
Okay.
Yeah, I just pulled up there. 36-7-1-3 defines areas needing redevelopment. That particular definition reads, areas needing redevelopment means an area in which normal development and occupancy are undesirable or impossible because of any of the following. 1. Lack of development. 2. Cessation of growth. 3. Deteriorated or deteriorating improvements. 4. Environmental contamination. 5. Character of occupancy. 6. Age. 7. Obsolescence. 8. Substandard buildings. 9. Other factors that impair value or prevent a normal use or development of property. So, again, pretty wide.
So it's basically just saying, within the everyday life, nothing's gonna happen over there, that we can step in and help out, and that way we can recoup some money, so.
That sounds about
Yeah.
right within that broad definition. Yeah.
I mean, to the extent that RDC investment in that property is needed, it does need to be part of a TIF district. So that would, ultimately the creation of a TIF district would be the only way that you could provide assistance to that. That makes sense.
Okay, so it could still be whatever, but we just couldn't participate,
Correct.
yeah.
And you wouldn't be able to collect any TIF
Yeah.
money from Exact investment.
in the everyday, normal
Right.
walk of life, okay.
Right.
Further discussion on this one? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion to adopt Resolution 2025-1, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution is approved by voice vote. Okay, while I get into Resolution 2025-2, I have 3 copies. One stays with Andrew for the official record, one goes with Aaron for our attorneys, and the third one I will drop off at the clerk treasurer's office so it can be scanned in and added into the file and placed online. So Andrew, I'm going to hand this down to you and everything. And then I'm going to read Resolutions 2025-2. Resolution of the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission approving amendments to the declaratory resolution and redevelopment plan and establishing a new allocation area. This is 6 pages long, so please bear with me, it's a lot of text. Here we go. Okay. Whereas the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission, as the governing body of the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Department, pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14-15, as amended, the Act, adopted Resolution Number 1-2005, designating an area known as the City of Beech Grove Integrated Redevelopment Area, the redevelopment area, as a redevelopment area pursuant to Sections 15, 16, and 17 of the Act, and designating all such redevelopment area as an allocation area pursuant to Section 39 of the Act. Whereas the Commission has been made aware of certain commercial development planned for that part of the City of Beech Grove located at and around 110 North 17th Avenue, parcel number 49-10-20-151-027.000-102, the North 17th Avenue parcel. And whereas the North 17th Avenue parcel does not currently generate any tax increment revenue, and whereas the North 17th Avenue parcel and nearby parcels currently suffer due to lack of industry, development, and employment, and whereas the Commission has thoroughly studied the North 17th Avenue parcel and nearby parcels, and whereas the Commission believes that in order to capture the most beneficial share of tax increment which will A, facilitate the use of tax increments to the benefit of the North 17th Avenue parcel and nearby parcels, and B, best serve the interest of the citizens of the City of Beech Grove, 1, the North 17th Avenue parcel should be designated as a separate allocation area under the Act, and whereas the Commission believes that the development of the North 17th Avenue parcel will result in significant economic development, significant increase in taxable property values and revenues, and an increase in employment opportunities for the citizens of the City of Beech Grove, and whereas pursuant to Sections 15 through 17.5 of the Act, the Commission desires to amend the plan as follows. 1, to establish a new allocation area within Section 39 of the Act called the Beech Grove North 17th Avenue Allocation Area, consisting of the North 17th Avenue parcel. And whereas the amendment has been presented should be at a public meeting of the Commission for consideration of approval by the body in order to take all appropriate action to affect the amendments. And whereas the Commission has caused to be prepared maps and plats showing the boundaries of the anticipated Beech Grove North 17th Avenue allocation area, the location of various parcels of property, streets, alleys, and other features affecting the acquisition, clearance, remediation, replanning, rezoning, or redevelopment of the anticipated Beech Grove North 17th Avenue allocation area, lists of owners of the various parcels of property to be acquired or affected by the amendment, and an estimate of the cost, if any, to be incurred for the acquisition and redevelopment of the property. And whereas the amendment and supporting data were reviewed and considered by the Commission at a regularly scheduled public meeting, and whereas Section 39 of the Act permits the creation of allocation areas to provide for the allocation and distribution of property taxes for the purposes and in the manner provided in said section. And whereas the Commission deems it advisable to apply the applicable provisions of the Act to the amendment, now therefore be it resolved by the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission as the governing body of the City of Beech Grove. It says Economic Development Department. That should be the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Department. So as follows. 1, the Commission finds the public health and welfare be... I'm going to restart that. 1, the Commission finds that the public health and welfare will be benefited by the amendment as authorized under the Act. 2, the amendment is reasonable and appropriate when considered in relation to the plan as all as may have been amended and the purposes of the Act. 3, the plan is hereby amended to include and incorporate the amendment and project. 4, the amendment conforms to any comprehensive plan for the City of Beech Grove. 5, the adoption of the amendment will result in new property taxes in Beech Grove North 17th Avenue allocation area that would not have been generated but for adoption of the amendment. 6, in support of the findings and determinations set forth in the previous paragraphs, the Commission hereby adopts the specific findings set forth in the plan and any other applicable redevelopment plan and amendments previously authorized by the Commission, including any reports and studies included and incorporated therein by reference. 7, the North 17th Avenue parcel described in Exhibit A hereto is hereby designated as a separate allocation area pursuant to Section 39 of the Act for purposes of the allocation and distribution of property taxes for the purpose and the matter provided by Section 39. Any real property taxes subsequently levied by or for the benefit of any public body entitled to a distribution of property taxes on taxable property in said allocation area shall be allocated and distributed as follows, except as otherwise provided in Section 39 of the Act. The proceeds of the taxes attributable to the lesser of A, the assessed value of the property for the assessment date with respect to which the allocation and distribution is made, or B, the base assessed value shall be allocated to and, when collected, paid into the funds of the respective taxing units, except as otherwise provided in Section 39. Property tax proceeds in excess of those described in the previous sentence shall be allocated to the Beech Grove Redevelopment District, accepting the excess of the proceeds of property taxes imposed for the assessment date with respect to which the allocation and distribution is made that are attributable to taxes imposed after being approved by the voters in a referendum or local public question conducted after April 30, 2010, which referendum or local public question funds, when collected, shall be paid into the funds of the taxing unit for which the referendum or local public question was conducted. When the property tax proceeds allocated to the redevelopment district are collected, they shall be paid into an allocation fund that for that allocation area and may be used by the redevelopment district to do one or more things specified in Section 39B3 of the Act, as the same may be amended from time to time. Said allocation of funds may not be used for operating expenses of the Commission, except as otherwise provided by the Act. Before June 15 of each year, the Commission shall take the action set forth in Section 39B4 of the Act. Notwithstanding Section 9B4 of the Act, for each year the allocation provision is in effect if the amount of excess assessed value determined by the Commission under subdivision 4A is expected to generate more than 200% of A, the amount of allocated tax proceeds necessary to make, when due, principal and interest payments on bonds described in Section 39B3 of the Act for the project, plus B, the amount necessary for other purposes described in Section 39B3 of the Act for the project. Any amount in excess assessed value that generates more than 200% of the amount described in clauses A and B shall be allocated to the respective taxing units in the manner prescribed by Section 39B1 of the Act. The foregoing allocation provision shall expire 25 years after the date on which the first obligation was incurred to pay principal and interest on bonds or lease rentals payable from tax increment revenues. Said allocation area is hereby designated as the Beech Grove North 17th Avenue allocation area, and said allocation fund is hereby designated as the Beech Grove North 17th Avenue allocation area fund. The base assessment date for the city or for the Beech Grove North 17th Avenue allocation area fund shall be January 1, 2025. 8. Except as otherwise stated herein, the terms of the original or any prior declaratory resolutions remain in full force and effect. 9. The officers of the commission are hereby authorized and directed to make any and all required filings with the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance, the Marion County Auditor, and any other legal body to which the act requires the commission to submit filings in connection with the creation of the Beech Grove North 17th Avenue allocation area and the amendment of a declaratory resolution or allocation area. 10. The provisions of this resolution shall be subject in all respects to the act and any amendment hereto. 11. This resolution, together with any supporting data, shall be submitted to the Common Council of the City of Beech Grove, the council, and if approved by the council, shall be submitted to a public hearing and remonstrance after public notice, all as required by the act. 12. This resolution takes effect immediately upon its adoption by the commission. 13. Any officer of the commission is hereby authorized to take such action as is necessary to implement the purposes of this resolution, and any such action taken prior to the date hereof is hereby ratified and approved. Next page, adopted this 17th day of April 2025, City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission, and there are signature lines for all members. There's a Exhibit A that is titled North 17th Avenue Allocation Area. The Beech Grove North 17th Avenue Allocation Area is hereby established. The North 17th Avenue Allocation Area is comprised of one parcel, number 49-10-20-151-027.000-102, currently owned by MPD Properties LLC. 1. West Albany Street Allocation Area Parcel List. There is one parcel here, which is the stated parcel that I just read, 49-10-151-027.000-102. Local parcel number 1087524, owner MPD Properties LLC. 2. North 17th Avenue Allocation Area Map. And there's a map that's in here that shows that particular parcel. Under that map is a description in italics. That description reads, the yellow parcel is the North 17th Avenue parcel number 49-10-20-151-027.000-102. Okay. I'm going to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-2. Is there a second?
Guess I'll
I'll
second.
second it.
Oh, go ahead, Phil. I'll put you down
Davis.
for a second.
Okay. There are a couple corrections that have to be made that I noticed and I didn't catch. Okay. Page 2, the first whereas clause on page 2, where it begins, whereas the amendment has been presented to a public meeting. I think it should be presented at, not to, at a public meeting. On page 2, in where it begins, the paragraph that says, now therefore be it resolved, in the second line, where it describes that the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission as the governing body of the Beech Grove Economic Development Department, that should be City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Department. So scratch out economic development and put redevelopment. And then I think the last thing I saw is actually in Exhibit A. And Aaron, I'm actually going to ask you this.
Yeah.
The number one where it says West Albany Street allocation area, shouldn't that
That
be
should
North
be
17th Avenue?
That should be North 17th Avenue allocation area parcel list. That was that was the leftover from a prior resolution.
Okay.
That was what I saw that, that's what I wanted to mention to you before we.
Oh, okay.
started.
So, yeah, okay. Okay, so I know those three right there. Those corrections should be made. With those corrections noted, we could vote on this tonight. And then I think a couple things should happen. Number one is you sign 3 of these documents. I take the signature page. I have a Word copy at home. I'll replace it Friday, drop it off Monday, get you one. And your offices are close to where I work. I can walk it over to your office. We can do that. Or because we're not, the next part is to go to the city council. I'll bring in 3 copies. We sign at the May meeting. If that works for everyone as well. I don't care which one. Whatever you all want to do and everything is up to you if you want to go that route. But if we adopt this tonight, we have to have a clean version and clean up these things. I'm not going to write through 3 documents and everything.
I would suggest that we adopt it, I think you've read it nicely, and I think that we all understand what those are. I did have a couple of questions. I'm not sure where those come in.
This would be the appropriate time.
One question I had is, it seems that we need to have a public hearing. Where in the process will that happen?
So the public hearing will happen for the third resolution, the third step of the process, which is the confirmatory resolution. And so that is when, there's a separate notice that we will make for whatever month's meeting that happens at.
Will that be during a city council meeting?
No, so the step 2 process is getting the city county resolution. Then it comes back here for the confirmatory resolution
Okay.
to be approved by the RDC, and that kind of finalizes the creation of the district.
Okay, but the specific question I'm asking is, when will the public hearing occur?
The day that it's on the agenda for the confirmatory resolution.
For the confirmatory,
Yeah.
okay, I got it.
Yeah,
That
so we have to
that
get
will
the-
be during an RDC meeting then?
Yes, it will be
Yes.
during an RDC meeting. Actually, it will be a specific thing. It will be the first thing on there because we have to
Okay.
notice it. So we have to open it like a public hearing, allow
Understand,
people
yeah.
to speak and support and remonstrate and
Okay.
everything. But yes, but we have to get to the city council first. If they say no, this thing is dead.
Yeah, got it, okay.
Okay.
Second question I had is, would it be important, or should we have in here how this zone how this land is zoned that we're putting into the TIF zone? Should that be an important part of this?
Me personally, I don't believe so. I believe the fact that is important is that it will have, you're looking at the assessed value as of January 1st, 2025. Whatever the use is what the use is, but you want to collect the increment starting this year for any development. So whether it's commercial, industrial, residential, it can be residential, but
Next.
yeah, mixed. I mean, what you're really focused on is getting the increment from the development, not what the use is.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I didn't prepare for this, but I did remember when I read the long paragraph at the end, it mentions the 200% thing. That was a recent thing that came in. It will come up. Jeff Peters usually has been starting to make mention of it when we do our annual presentation to the underlying taxing districts and everything. He usually brings that up. That is something new. That 200, like if we collect more, that's that 200% breaker. Where if we're not spending that, if we have more money than what we're spending on and everything, if it's more than 200%, we automatically have to pass on assessed value back to the underlying taxing districts and everything. This may be a question for Jeff when we when we do that public hearing on that annual presentation next month. But if you could just recall from statute and everything, what does that mean for us at the beginning? Like, we start collecting this along with everything else that we're collecting, but we don't have any obligations right now. We don't have any bonds, you know.
Right, so I
Yeah.
mean, 200%, A of the amount allocated necessary to pay basically the debt service on any obligations you issue, plus B, the amount necessary for other purposes under the act. So whatever those are.
Mhm.
And then to the extent that you're above that, that could potentially go back to other taxing districts.
Okay. I should be reminded that I will ask that question also of Jeff. He usually brings it up, but I want to make sure because that's a relatively new part of the law, and I'm still, me personally, a little bit confused by that and how that can mean to us and everything. So, is there any other questions? All right. You've heard the resolution. I'm not reading it again. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 2025-2, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes having the motion is approved by voice vote. I do have 3 copies here. If you want to sign that signature line, I will get this changed out this weekend and get to the various people the actual updated
Thank you.
resolution with the updated with the changes here, which is this copy I'm holding in my hand right now. I have to find my agenda. While we're I'm going to take those because I haven't signed these. So these. Aaron. The treasurer's office. And for you, Andrew.
Thank you.
This one is yours for the file. I'm keeping this one, I'm gonna drop it off. And then we're giving one to Andrew. And number 2, we're signing it right now. I'm gonna hold on to them. I will get you one, let's say sometime next week. I'll figure out when they'll come by. One America building? Gotcha, thank you. Okay. For those potentially watching at home, please bear with us while we sign documents. We will get back onto our agenda shortly. Okay. Next is the approval of the minutes from the March 20th, 2025 meeting. Andrew, you brought us minutes. They have been circulated and everything. I'll let people look through these really quick, but whenever someone feels like making a motion to approve the minutes as presented, don't be a stranger. I don't want to be making the motions all night. I'm going to motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Thank you, David. We're on the wrong line. Second. Are you store second? No, actually, no. One of you two should second.
second.
That was Jenny.
Can't
Discussion.
move this from my own.
Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is approved by voice vote. All right, docket. Okay, you have a docket before you of accounts payables. I'm sorry, I gotta get into my notes here. But first things first, as has now become our normal practice, earlier today I sent you each an update on the budget and expenses tracking that I keep and everything. Just going through those briefly. It's 3 pages on there. One is the keeping track of our budget. At present, we paid nothing out of what we've allocated towards RDC projects. For professional services, that is Lewis and Capps, as well as Jeff Peters' firm, for the most part. What we have left going into April 1st is what remains on that budget item is $52,065.30. On the REA contract, which was at $78,500, what's left in the budget is $32,708.35. And then the other line item for professional services contract for $150,000. Obviously, nothing's been spent on because we haven't initiated that contract. We'll be focusing on that when we get done with the comprehensive plan. Page 2 is just a tracking of the monthly account balances. Again, I take the account balances that I see from that last month, subtract what was on the docket, and so on April 1st, 2025, we should have had a balance of $1,564,704.09, which reflects the $15,563.12 that were approved at our March meeting that was on the docket. The third page keeps track of what our current balance was as of now April 1st. Again, that $1,564,704.09. And if we were to subtract everything that we have left to pay off, that's essentially, that we could be billed on. Those are the approved funding applications and our contracts, the line items that we have for paying professional services. If we subtract those all out, like everything was paid down to the budget line and everything, we would have left unencumbered, meaning what's available for us to spend on, really RDC projects, would be $1,199,930.41. Please note, these are from the information that I have only, and I'm an attorney. I'm not a financial expert, but that's what I got. I think you looked at it yourselves. Probably come up with the same thing, unless Excel is bad at adding. So there we go. Okay. The allowance of account payables vouchers. It reads in part, City of Beech Grove, RDC. We have examined the accounts payable vouchers listed on the foregoing register of accounts payable vouchers consisting of 1 page, and except for accounts payables not allowed as shown on the register, such accounts payables are hereby allowed in the total amount of $5,226. If you flip over to page 2, this is the accounts payable register. There are 2 entries. Both entries are to Lewis and Capps, both for as the standard description professional development. The amount on the first line is $2,704. The amount on the second line is $2,522. For a grand total of $5,226. There were invoices that were provided to each of you that show the invoices from Lewis and Capps. For proper procedure, 1, can we have a motion to approve the docket as presented?
Well, question first. We don't have an invoice from REA this month?
Do not have it. It's not there. It's not on the thing. So I don't know. They haven't told me anything, but it's not there. But they also didn't have one back in February.
Okay.
In February.
So we didn't get one in all of 2024,
Correct.
and then we've missed 2 of them out of 4 months out of this year.
They have not sent. Yeah, they have not sent an invoice. Okay. Motion to approve the docket as presented.
I would make said motion.
Motion 5. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion?
I'm gonna bring up something I brought up before. You set our agenda. Can we pick a month where we're not real busy and maybe have one of our attorneys kind of tell us where all this is? Every month, we're signing off on stuff for the landfill.
Mhm.
Just kind of give us an idea of where we are with it. I mean, we pay this money, but we don't really know what we're paying for.
Mhm.
So like I said, maybe on a month where we don't have a lot going on,
Yes.
we could have, just kind of give us a ballpark of here's what we're doing, here's where we are, here's where we're heading.
Mhm.
Well, if I could correct that, I actually made a formal request 2 months ago that we would get a monthly report from the attorneys regarding that, because there's a number of line items here of letters and meetings and other things that are going on that really clearly need some explanation.
That's actually correct.
Okay.
I mean, I think we've already requested that monthly. I'm not sure if anybody disagreed with it, but I did request it.
Okay. I've written down that note. What we're going to do is that I will send an email. I will CC the RDC. I'll send it to Bob and Aaron and Craig Wiley. And we will see what we can do. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of great, I mean, I didn't write down with the March notes and everything. I will do that, and including yours, David. But I've written down that note, and I will work on that, let's say, next week. And then, I'm sorry, I'm going to do the report. And we'll see what they say. If you'd like to know, I will.
Yeah, I mean,
Ask on your behalf.
we sign off on it every month, and it would just kind of be nice to know what we're signing off on other than what we read here.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, I have that now written down and including the report and everything. So I will generate an email. We'll say next week. We'll see what they say and everything, and we'll go from there. But okay.
My request wasn't, I didn't mean to make it a formal. It would be more just, could they come to the podium at the RDC meeting while we're approving it and say, we did a legal analysis IDM demands, including AEC Phase 1 geotech. Response to IDM letter and draft comments, preparing team calls, finalizing letters, reviewing proposed letters, discussing IDM letters, reviewing policies. This all seems to be related to something that's going on. Like, could we understand where we are in the process?
I can try to be able to
Okay.
provide what I know. So, David, I know you weren't here last month. I think there was some discussion about the fact that the city received a letter from IDEM regarding kind of violations that they would like to have, or issues they would like to have addressed at the landfill. So on the matter, RDC landfill matter, our environmental attorney reviewed that. Some of the demands are, I think, based on his review, looking at whether the demands are actually legitimate demands for a landfill of the age that this landfill is. And so I think there were some meetings involving Wetzlar, and I think there was, my understanding is that there was kind of a scope of work that would address issues that would be applicable for a landfill of this age. And I'm not sure if that has been communicated yet to IDEM, but I kind of view it as kind of a negotiation for work that would need to be done to satisfy IDEM's request.
Okay.
Now we do have on the regular RDC matter, Bob had been in contact with William Brown from the IU Environmental Resilience Institute, and earlier this month, so it'll be on next month's docket, we did have a call with him, and I think really looking at the possibility of getting a bunch of different people involved for grant money and potential use of the landfill, which would include, I know we talked about this before, but potentially solar, And according to Professor Brown, there are ways to essentially locate solar on the landfill without disturbing the cap. And that will be part of, I think, the process that they're going to look at going forward.
Yeah. Okay. I actually also did meet with them, and one of the issues that you may want to think about is that they're saying that, you know, building a solar farm isn't the big deal. The issue is that, you know, in order to capture the energy from the solar farm and capture it and store it and resell it, you've got to be an energy company.
Right. So
Yeah.
I believe some of the in the future, the meetings would involve IPL or AES Indiana, who's, you know, the power provider for this area. And so if that were a direction that the city wanted to pursue, there would eventually be an interconnection agreement between the city and AES, or the developer and AES, and, you know, how those funds would flow to the city are still kind of to be determined.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's something to keep on the radar, and probably, you know, potential good news for how to deal with the landfill.
Well, this is a question, I don't know if this goes to you or Jim, but are we under contract somehow with Westler Engineering?
City is.
The city is? Okay.
All for all the stormwater.
And that has to also do with the city dump, they have a contract for that?
Stormwater. For drainage.
So right now, the issue at the landfill is the leaching from the landfill into the creek.
Yeah.
And so I think they're looking at ways to address that.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Okay. We have a motion to approve the document as presented. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Okay. Again, I lost my agenda. I found it. Okay. Oh, right, other business. Any other members have any other business they want to bring before this evening?
I'll just mention one thing,
Oh,
if it's okay.
sorry. Yes. This is your copy. I'm sorry. I'm going to pass down one more.
Okay,
You
sure.
have to sign these in duplicate.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. David, continue.
Commissioners, in the past couple of years, I'm not sure exactly when, I think it was before I was part of the commission, this commission financially supported the Hornet Trail Park, the Hornet Trail that's going around Beech Grove High School. And I think it was around $250,000 that the RDC committed to the engineering of that trail. I don't think the trail is open yet. I don't think the ribbon cutting ceremony has actually happened, but I personally have walked that trail with President of the City Council, Duffer, and our past mayor actually ran into us on the trail and walked it with us as well. And we documented quite a few places where I want to say there's really significant hazardous areas and areas where I think the civil engineering probably needs a second consideration, where water is not being managed properly across the trail. I think there's a number of areas where the trail is already washed out and the asphalt has actually fallen in. There's a number of other areas where the dirt is just washing across the trail. There's a number of areas where there's some safety concerns, I think, where, you know, a car could literally drive off the street and onto the trail without even a curb being in between the two of them. And I think that just since we paid for that we should take the time to kind of consider documenting and look at it. I've taken about 100 pictures just to help kind of document it, but I don't know. I'm not sure what the process is, but we probably, the fact that we paid for the engineering and it seems like the engineering is lacking is what I wanted to inform you of.
You may want to move or forward that on, because we're already dealing with that. We had a situation basically in right field of our turf baseball diamond, some wash away that done damage to our visitor side bullpen and whatnot. And from what I understand, talking to the operations director, they were very receptive. They're already back on board. Mayor, I'm not sure if did the school reach out to you when this happened as well, or did we just go straight to the developer? I can't
Mine was
remember.
the developer, so the project is not done by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
We got a substantial amount of rain about a month ago, and DPW Director Brad Merriweather, myself, United Consulting, the inspector, we walked the whole trail, and there's a lot of issues, and the city is well aware about it. NDOT, it's an NDOT project, so NDOT will not sign off on it until it is complete. And it's safe. So we are well aware of it. They're going to come back in. They're going to mobilize soon. And they're going to address. There are several areas of concern. The bollards, we've got bollards on order because we do have a couple cars. We've seen them hop on the trail. So we ordered extra bollards than what we originally planned in the original design. So those will be added. They just have to be installed. In the meantime, they've added some barricades and some barricades to kind of limit access to it. But no, the city is definitely well aware of all of those concerns, David, but if you want to send them over to me, I'd be happy to make sure they get addressed with Brad Merriweather and then United Consulting as well. But we, I've spoken to Dr. Hannick a little bit about it before, and they are well aware that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, especially at the back half. The front half is pretty well, but it's the
Right.
back half.
Towards that neighborhood, but it's my understanding that they were very receptive when we reached out to them, because, I mean, that's $1 million baseball diamond back there.
Yeah.
And probably got low end $15,000 worth of damage to a turf.
Wow. Wow. You know, and one of the things I also wanted to point out, I didn't know this until I walked the trail, but there's nowhere to park. On both ends of the trail, there's nowhere to park. And it just seems like we should have thought that through a little bit better.
Well, there'd be school parking, and I think that was the plan. There's school parking, there's B&B, there's a church. The church is offered parking. You have the community center right there. You can park at all those places. I think, I'm assuming you can park at the school lot
Absolutely.
that's open.
Absolutely.
The school was very, very helpful and very big supporter of this project. They even helped pay for some as well for that sidewalk. So they were big proponents of it, and my guess is you're working around the school
In
property.
fact, we added a additional trailhead just east of the administration building there, to where you could park by the old softball diamond and jump on the trail there mid-hill there.
Yeah, so on this side you have the B&B, you have the South Emerson Church of God, and then around the other side you have the Horn Park Community Center. You can park at those two places, and then on the other side as well, you can park next to the softball field and hop on it. You can park on the other side back where the bus lot is, where other access off the church around the King Park back there as well.
Obviously, if we've got activities
Yeah,
going on,
yeah.
parking's
It might be limited,
a
but
little bit limited, but.
Okay.
But it
Yeah,
is
but
baseball season, so it is baseball and softball season. It's a great time to walk the trail, stop for a minute, catch your breath, see a couple innings, support your Hornets.
yeah, David, if you want to forward those on, I'll make sure that they get it to the right person over at United and make sure the rest. But yeah, you have my word. It is not anywhere near being done, and the city will not sign off on it, and we will make sure that NDOT will not sign off on that as well.
Jim,
But
who in the
check
city,
it.
who in the city will sign off on it?
It'd be this. Well, it'd probably be Brad, the DPW director. I guess verbally sign off on it. At the end of the day, it's NDOT who will release the project and say it's done. But they'll come in and do an inspection on it, because they're the ones who funded a majority of the construction.
We're lucky to have a big brother on this project.
Was that the grant? I'm assuming that was a NDOT
In the opposite
NPO.
NPO.
Okay.
But so that they did the bidding, they went out and solicited the bids, and they awarded the bids, City Beach Road project, but they're the ones who awarded it, and they were the ones who will have the final say on it. Same as the Peanut Roundabout over there, they have to have final say, and they're coming out. We did a walkthrough on that one late last year. While it's open and substantially complete, it's still not complete until the final date. So the trail substantial completion was late last year, but they have a certain amount of time, and if they don't get done, then they start getting fined by NDOT. NDOT will say you have a certain amount of time to finish this project. And then they'll work with the contractor, but in the time, that contractor agreed to complete by a certain date, and if they don't, they get daily fines from NDOT. And NDOT will make sure that they get it done. They'll fine them, and then that might put jeopardy into getting future awards or bids from NDOT projects.
And we're a month into our complaint. It wasn't last week's rain that did ours. We had issues when I was out in the country for last meeting in March. That rain is what caused the damage.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I rode my bike on it a couple days after that rain, and I called Brad immediately. I said, Brad, we've got to go out there. And we went out first thing Monday morning because it was rough. It was bad. We had areas of washout where it was just this thick of gravel and dirt just covering the whole trail.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Are
Thank you for that. It will definitely.
Are you blocking off let's say the entry points to the trail so that I'm imagine they're going to be on there? Are they on there daily? As they're fixing the things that are problem, finishing up to get to substantially done, that we're blocking off so people can't get there from.
Contact with the schools and making sure that it's safe and make sure that it's not accessible by kids. Yes, absolutely. Especially when they come back and actually mobilizing them, we will definitely have it blocked off and so people can walk through the construction. Okay. So yeah, we will definitely make sure it's safe.
I'm assuming it was because of the winter there hadn't been any upgrades. I remember that at least the city council I know gets you get your updates and everything.
Because it's substantially complete, that's when the updates stop.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
which is crazy because they've got a whole lot of plantings to do. Just once you reach a certain
Point
point
they
of
stop as part of the
completion, they quit having the monthly meetings with the city. They quit having money with the inspector, the design, city officials. We have that. I think it's weekly that we have in the middle of the construction project. We meet weekly, and the DPW director's there, the engineers there, the construction company's there, and the designers there, and they talk about all the problems that come up, and then provide those.
All right.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. But yeah,
Yes.
Jim, can I ask
it'll
you
be
a
good when it's
question?
done. Yes, sir.
I haven't been on the new trail yet. You have signs, we have signs with rules, I assume, like at beginning or end? Or both,
No
or-
signs yet for rules.
But we will have,
I'm assuming, yes, I'm assuming it'll be the
can we,
same.
can we put something on there about parking? You know, like where to park? Because I don't, like if I went up there, I wouldn't want to park at the BMV because I'm thinking I'm gonna get towed or something.
Yeah.
If they've okayed it, or the church or something, you know, maybe at each end we put a little tag at the bottom that says, you know, park at, I realize they're already be on the trail, but for future reference,
Yeah,
they know that there's safe parking at the BMV
For sure.
or the church or whatever. You might
Yeah.
want to
I
consider.
don't mind that. I don't know if the B&B will allow us.
Can we
to
park
put
at the
that.
superintendent's office?
Absolutely.
But I'll
It
work
says
with
no
them and
parking.
also the.
Yeah, but if they don't allow us to put an official writing and then somebody parks
Well,
there
I'm
and
just-
gets
You're
hurt or
right.
something.
I don't think there's
This
any
is what it
code
says
signs
at
there right now that says.
That's the sign
no
at
ever
the-
parking for B&B
It's at
only.
the
But I
down
think we
parking
can
lot or
probably
the
find
front
something.
parking
Right there,
Verbiage on
right
there
at the
to say that
superintendent's
you're
office, or at the entrance.
I think that
No,
would
that's
make people
going
feel a little more at
to the
ease
back.
knowing that
For
they
sure.
can park.
Well, it's right
where-
at the entrance is right here.
I agree.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Anything else? I do have one thing to add, but I'd like to go at the end.
Are you talking about where it goes down that little dip in that little parking lot?
Okay. All right. Again, for
That,
all of you,
I'm talking about.
May's meeting is going to be particularly bit busy. We have to do our annual presentation, as I mentioned at the meeting, and that will follow on by our standard resolution that we are not going to pass any of our assessed value that we get, essentially that creates our revenue. We're not going to pass it back on to the underlying or overlapping taxing districts. We're going to have that. REA is supposed to have a bigger presentation, and I believe Jeff Peters, since he's going to be here, will also talk about some of the financing stuff. I know he's been preparing some things. There have been some emails that I've been on. I think we've been on and everything. So he should be presenting some stuff. So prepare for a longer meeting. So that we're not here past 9 o'clock or 9:30, I'm going to be calling the meeting for 6 p.m. I just thought of this because I'm remembering, is that I think we had talked about, or you have all, or some have mentioned to me, do we really want to start at 7? If we start at 6 and everyone likes it and you can get here at 6, if you want to tell me we want to be going at starting at 6 p.m. from now on, let me know at the end of the May meeting and I will adjust what I have to adjust, which I don't think is really anything. I think the meeting calendar that's downstairs just has meeting dates, so I just need to adjust the agenda. But we will be starting at 6. Jeff Peters will be working on the public hearing. That's going to be the first thing that we'll do because that has to be boxed out. You've been to public hearings at the city council
Yep,
before.
yep.
That's going to be the first thing we're going to do, and then hopefully REA is here. The 30 minutes that within the 30 minutes it takes, we can jump right into that and hopefully be done At a reasonable hour, let's say that. Okay?
I will not be at Maze because I have a work commitment.
Okay,
I won't be able to make it.
okay. I wish we had the proxy rules so you could send a proxy, but that only
I'm
works at
sorry.
the election commission where I work. Okay, I don't want to keep anyone longer. I know Easter holiday's coming up and everything, so if there's nothing else, I'm going to ask you if there's any public comment.
No thanks.
Okay. Well, then with that, before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I wish each of you who do celebrate a happy Easter. I hope you have plans with your respective families. And we're about to get some warm weather, and I'm looking forward to actually starting to mow my lawn. But with that, I thank you all for being here. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make it.
Thank you,
Second.
Andrew. Seconded by David. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. And we are adjourned at 8:35 p.m. Thank you, everyone.